We'll start with Ole Miss. Now, Lane Kiffin has certainly embraced the current state of college football, whether it's the portal, being outspoken about the portal, being very active in social media, altering how he's kind of handling the spring game. I mean, he's done an awful lot to kind of really make Ole Miss kind of a destination program. He's done a great job of making them a team that has been really attractive in the portal, gone out and got high quality talent, blue chip prospects in some cases. And he brings back a lot of really good players off a team that won 11 games last year. They've been to multiple New Year's Six bowl games, but this is the first year where it really feels like coming into the season, it feels a little bit for Ole Miss like it's playoff or bust. So with the additions of Logan Diggs and Henry Parrish, with the additions of Princely Manuelin on the edge defensively, bringing in Walter Nolan, one of the top defensive tackles, a bunch of other players at really all three levels defensively, and a couple weapons there on the offensive side, including Juice Wells from South Carolina. A lot of people seem to think this team is destined for the playoff. Part of the reason why I think so many people are bullish on them is their schedule feels manageable. They'll start with Furman. That's a win. Middle Tennessee, that's a win. They'll go to Wake Forest. Fairly manageable road trip there in the non-conference. They'll get Georgia Southern at home. There's really no reason why Ole Miss shouldn't start the season at least 4-0. Then they'll get Kentucky at home, be a tricky game. At South Carolina, very tricky game. At LSU, very tricky game. Oklahoma comes to them on October 26th. They're at Arkansas. They have Georgia at home, and they're at Florida, and they finally finish the season with the Egg Bowl. So the way we've done this in the past, kind of going through what games are losable, okay? We know the automatic wins, okay? Furman, Middle Tennessee, Georgia Southern. Granted, could they lose one of those? Sure. Anything's possible, but let's just give it to them for the process of this exercise. Let's just not waste time debating whether or not they're going to beat Furman, okay? So let's give them a 4-0 start, including a win on the road at Wake Forest. I do think the Kentucky game is losable. I think at South Carolina is losable. I think at LSU is losable. Anytime you're on the road in the SEC, it's very tricky. And if there's one thing we've learned about Lane Kiffin is there are occasional mishaps where the team doesn't play real well. They kind of do elevate and in some cases lower themselves to the level of the competition. I hope that's not the case this year because they are significantly more talented than some of the teams on their roster. But I'm not going to necessarily think they're going to go to Arkansas and give up the rushing yards they gave up a couple years ago. Is that game losable? Perhaps. But I don't think they lose that one. Not this year. Not with what happened 2 years ago on their last trip to Fayetteville. At Florida, I think it's a tricky one. Mississippi State's a tricky one. We know the Georgia game's really tough as well. Oklahoma at home. So a lot of games I think that are losable, but I think there's really about 5 that are legitimately losable. And I'm not saying they lose all 5. I think they probably win 4 of the 5 in some cases, maybe 3 of the 5 in some cases. 10-2, the Ole Miss Rebels probably not in the SEC championship, but more than likely en route to the college football playoff. Just a matter of who those losses come to. But you look at the schedule; it lays out pretty nicely for Ole Miss.